Yeah, I am actually curious because we never really got to chat with you and spend enough time with you when you joined Live. Just kind of share with us how that conversation happened. When did Cam call you? What did he say to you? And kind of what convinced you to then make that decision to come over to Live?
Yeah, well, we spoke about it. Oh, geez, it was all happened pretty quick. I got a call off Greg. I reckon it was the week after the US Open. They wanted, me and Cam, and I called Cam and I'm like, mate, I said, I'm probably not going to go unless you go. So what do you like? And if you don't want to go, that's fine. But don't judge it, make your decision on me. And then he said, well, I'm not going unless you're going. And I'm like, well, it seems pretty good. We put all the positives and negatives down, and the positives far outweighed the negatives, and it turned out to be a pretty easy decision. And I think it was a good thing was that we've both got very similar upbringings, working class families. We like enjoying ourselves. I guess a lot of people live to work. We work to live, although we do have a really, really cool job. So it was a fairly easy decision, and one that I certainly haven't regretted one bit. I know Cam is as happy as he's ever been as well. So we're both very happy, particularly to be going back to Australia this week. Going back for everything that is going to showcase all of us in front of the Australian fans, and be in our home country. So yeah, it's been amazing. Couldn't be happier.
Yeah. It's such an Aussie way of life. I work to live, it's kind of like the Australian motto, isn't it? It's just like everybody is that way. And that's why the culture is so awesome and laid back and chill. And I love it. I would move back to Australia in a heartbeat.
When I went there, and I'm going to date myself here because I'm a fucking fossil.
You're a fucking dinosaur. That's
dinosaur. Same with fossil is a dead dinosaur, just so you know. Not that there are any live ones besides me. I went there in 1988, 89 to play. Played for an entire season, 6.5 months. Lived in Australia, and my one observation, there are a number of observations, but the one that stuck with me most, coming from America, is a 9-to-5 job in Australia means you leave home about 9. You're sure as hell home by 5. and that, as opposed to in America, which thinks they have a strong work ethic until you go to many Asian countries where we're laughed at too. But and then the guys, the bosses who drove the nice cars, they didn't have traffic because they were always on the road, getting there by 7:30 or 8, and there was no traffic. But the people who had jobs, like I grew up in a blue collar family, a working class family as well. And I love that about him. The second part that falls in line with that is when I was there, and I think it's still that way, because in America, I'm introduced as Jerry, the golf commentator. This is Jim, the accountant. There's Sue Ann, the entertainer. Sorry, I just pulled that out of nowhere. But you're introduced, your value, your identity is your occupation. In Australia, it was always considered back then, I think it's the same way now, rude to even ask somebody what they did for a living until you got to know them. You're either a good bloke or a bad bloke, period.
Yeah, no, you're spot on. Yeah, you would never say this is Jerry, he's a commentator, you'd be like, yeah, this is my mate Jerry.
Right.
Or, yeah, this is my friend Sue Ann or whatever, you'd never and then let people make their own decisions. Yeah, that's certainly exactly right.
So to illustrate that, we played in it was a Coca-Cola Classic up in the Gold Coast, and there was a hotel that an American guy owned, a really nice hotel out on the water, and he made sure that all the American golfers got a great rate there. So we stayed there, and he invited us out to some big fancy, not fancy, but like family dinner style place with entertainment for for dinner? And he goes, yeah, it's just me and 3 of my mates and you guys and you and whoever you want, just bring. It's on me, no big deal. And we go there, and these 4 people, we met the American, but the 3 Australians that are with them are like, they're all just like best buddies hanging out, 2 guys, 2 girls, various ages and what have you. It turns out it's the owner, the American owner of the hotel, the general manager, an Aussie guy, older in his years, but just the quality, salt of the earth guy, and then 2 ladies of, various ethnicities and what have you. We couldn't quite figure out. It was the owner, the GM, and 2 of the housekeeping staff, and they were just best friends. And that does not happen in America. That just doesn't happen.
Yeah.
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 That's so cool. Yeah. Yeah. Just the way we're brought up, it's like, treat everyone equal, no matter who they are. Like, everyone's just trying to make a living, all breathe the same air, all going to end up in the same place. So, yeah, it's a pretty good way to live.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah. Speaking of Australians, I mean, you guys are an all Australian team, the Ripper. I'm curious to hear your perspective. Where do you see Ripper GC in the future? Like, what does that look like for Ripper GC down the road?
I think a lot of people want the merchandise and want this and want that, and I think you could build. I see the franchise growing massively, because I mean, you've got the Fireballs as, I guess, the Spanish team. You got the South American team. Majestics is the English team, and then we're the Aussie team. So I think, I think in the future, I think as far as merchandise, that's the first place my brain goes. I think it will continue to be an Australian team, firstly, but I think instead of buying, you go into a pro shop, instead of buying a Callaway hat or a Titleist hat or a Ping hat, people are going to be buying, Ripper hats or, whatever it is. So I think that's one huge opportunity for Ripper in Australia is get everyone into the gear and give them the opportunity to buy it. 'Cause at the moment, well, I think they've only just recently in the last month or so been able to get the merchandise. I know we get a million Instagram and all these social media things asking us where to get it, and well, we don't really know. So I think that once that gets taken care of, it's going to grow rapidly.
Yeah.
Well, last year, you guys completely sold out your hats, like instantly sold
They
out.
will
I
this
don't
year
think there were
too.
any left.
They will sell
this
out
year
in
too.
5
I hope
minutes.
they made enough for this year.
Yeah.
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 And speaking of which, if anyone's wondering about my t-shirt, it will be available in Adelaide at the merchandise store. You can get that there. But I'm sure you're going to have to get in quick because I'm pretty sure it's going to get sold out. This is a really cool one. I actually,
Will they have it in your size?
A chip. Really? They won't have it in your size. That's for fucking sure.
Fuck off.